Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming out. We are Group 2. Our game is titled Metal Orbital Arena. For our game, we decided to go with a first-person arena shooter. We felt very retro-inspired for this game, so we took a lot of inspiration from games like Quake, Halo, Team Fortress. Yeah, I think you guys are gonna like it a lot. So while they're setting up, I'll give you just a little rundown of what an arena shooter is if you're not aware. So all the players are gonna spawn in a self-contained map that's very circular. So there's no real main place to go to. You can just run around the map. Around the map there are assortment of weapons that you can pick up. So each player will spawn with one weapon and they can carry a total of 2. When the game is played, you'll see on the HUD they have the health bar at the top. Your goal is to get the required kill count, and the first person to reach it wins. Yeah, so I'll talk a little more about it as we play, but as the game goes on, you'll notice in the bottom there'll be a level bar, and the players are aiming to level up to gain abilities, which will give them an advantage in their fight. Oh yeah, I skipped introductions. So way at the end, we have one of our graphics developers, Josh. Next to him, we have Jolina, our artist. She did a really great job. We have Scott and Cedric, both did a lot of the networking. Daniel here was our main DevOps, so he set up a really great pipeline that allowed us to just work very quickly and, just absolute beast. He also did a lot of work in many of the other categories, as did most of us. We just kind of spilled over where it was needed. And then here we have Guthrie, our second graphics developer. Guthrie and Josh did a great job. Most teams end up using OpenGL for their graphics API. We went with a new one that's really new, called SDL. The advantage of using SDL was that we can essentially get our game on any platform, or at the very least, Mac, Linux, and Windows. The downside was not a lot of experience with it. Yeah. All right. Can we get 2 volunteers? So this is a pretty high octane game. So if you're good at FPS, that helps a lot. But of course, anybody can play. Yeah, Alex. Yeah. And then let's do you in the back. Yeah. Alrighty. All right, set up. Oh yeah, and before we start, I would like to also shout out my brother, Sam Roner. He did all of the music as well as most of the sound effects. So I think you're gonna enjoy him a lot. You got anything you want to pitch in on? Oh, and Cedric did the menu. It's really cool. Daniel, can you go through the menu a little bit and just show them? So we have this really cool menu. So the network guys managed to set up this system where we can actually see servers that are being hosted on the local network, as well as global servers which get routed through the CSE 125 web server hosting. So yeah, you can host through the client as well, really cool. So very nice menu. Cedric did a great job. All right, you want to join the lobby? So everybody's readied up. Server host got to start the game. Do a nice countdown. All right. Yeah, I can. Yeah, sure. All right, so Daniel started. He's in. So I'll give you a quick rundown of the HUD. There's a lot going on. So in the top left, we have the grenades. There are 3 types of grenades. The first one is a frag grenade, so just small explosion, does damage, does a little bit of knockback. The second grenade is a Molotov, so it does a little fire effect, and you'll see these nades throughout the gameplay. The third grenade is a sticky grenade, so it sticks to opponents and kills them if it hits them. So you see Daniel got his overshield, which is one of the 2 power-ups in the game. So he's got this green health bar, gives him extra health. So the health bar is layered. So right now his overshield is draining, so the green is slowly going down. Below that is the cyan color, which is his armor. And then below that, he'll have a red health. Once all of those drain, he's dead. So on the right, you'll see he has an ammo counter as well as icons for the 2 guns that he has equipped. At the bottom is his ability bars. So the 2 icons on the left and right represent his primary and secondary abilities. And then in the bar in the middle represents his level. So as he deals damage, he'll start to accumulate that level. And once he gets his first level, he gets to choose his primary ability. So the primary abilities are split into, or the abilities are split into 2 categories. There's a primary and a secondary ability. Okay, debug menu. So the primary ability is usually movement based. So we've got 3 different abilities, though every match, 2 of them get chosen to be presented to all the players when they hit their first level. So Daniel's gonna be coming up on that soon, so we'll see that. The 3 abilities that we have for the primary, the 3 options Daniel can get are a levitate ability, a grapple ability, and a dash ability. So Daniel's got the shotgun right now, and the rifle, which everybody spawns with. Okay, so Daniel's got his first level up. Daniel, are you gonna select that? So he has the dash and the grapple, and it looks like he chose the grapple. So he can see on the bottom his cooldown every time that he uses his ability. On the left here, he has a radar. So this is to help him find where players are on the map. So he's got little dots that represent all the different players. In the top right, you'll also see a mini scoreboard that shows the person in first place at the top as well as their kill count and Daniel's kill count below it. As well as if you press tab, you can see the full scoreboard. So this is very fast-paced movement. One of the cool things, like I said, we took a lot of inspiration from games like Quake and Counter-Strike. So a lot of Source games built on the Source engine. So we implemented bunny hopping. We sort of reverse engineered this Source engine's vector handling so that the players can actually bunny hop to increase speed. So Daniel, if you could actually show that a little bit. So you can see how fast Daniel can go once he starts gaining speed. In very tight infall style, we also included wall running. So Daniel, oh, he's gonna fail. Oh, yeah, there he goes. Oh, game over, game over. So yeah, now you can see the scoreboard. We can see, who's Wolf? Cedric, all right, Cedric with the win. And so now you can go back, you're gonna go back to lobby. You gonna switch? Yeah. Here we go. Yeah, so in the lobby, the main client here is not the host, but the first person to join a server is designated as the leader of the lobby, and they get to control things like match time and like via the kill requirement and all sorts of other settings. And as you saw earlier, we also have a settings menu, so you can customize things like keybinds, mouse sensitivity. You can edit, or you can adjust the volume for the music and sound effects. You know, you can turn off the muzzle flashes if they annoy you or whatever. So we got a very nice settings menu. Again, also designed by Cedric. He did a great job. He banged most of that out last week. Yeah, so we got some nice emotes. So you see that fire, not very great fire particle effect was done very last minute, but that's the Molotov. So any players who stand in it are going to take damage. So we originally were going to try to do a ragdoll effect for the characters when they die, but we did not have enough time. So we had to scrap it, and Daniel did instead this Thanos particle effect on the character sides. I love it. It's great. So nades spawn around the map as well. Each player starts with 2, but you'll run out, and if you continue to live, you can find them and pick them up. So this is the energy gun. It's a little Tesla cannon, and when you get close to players, it tracks them and does tick damage over time. And like I said earlier, Jolena, she did a great job. All of the HUD was made using SVGs that Jolena created herself. Great job. I love the icons. They look fantastic. Particularly the grenade icons. I think they look really cool. So we were originally planning on texturing parts of the player and having like their under armor just a normal texture, and then coloring the player's like actual armor pieces, the color that was assigned to them. So every player has a unique color. Due to time constraints, we just had to apply a filter, a tint over the whole model, but ended up looking okay.
One of the things that Graphics team is very proud of is the shadows that we're able to do. So we have a maximum of 64 fully dynamic point lights, and we don't. Why do we need all those? You probably don't, but they're there, and a lot of the fun from this came from learning how to learn how a rendering engine works for video games, and one of the things I wasn't expecting was how what some of the limitations. I thought that performance was going to be a big issue with shadows, but I realized that it was actually VRAM. It took up like a lot of VRAM, a lot more than I thought, and it would not run on Mac.
Never enough.
With all of those 64, we had to bump that down. So there's that.
One thing I'll say here just real quick. So we're setting the kill count required to win the game to 10 just so we can get faster paced games. By default, it's 25, so the games can go a little longer. One thing that I was hoping to do, but we were just so pressed for time I couldn't, is right now the damage required to level up is actually a fixed amount. I was hoping to scale it proportionate to the number of kills required. We just didn't have the time, but it seems like it's working out pretty well. All right. Anyone got any questions? Wait a minute, we got a lot of the team up here, but I think Guthrie and I can answer a little bit. Yeah, what do you got? What? One thing I will say is for the movement, there was this video, and unfortunately off the top of my head, I can't remember. This guy did this really in-depth video explaining how it worked. So that helped a lot, but as well as just a lot of the source engines, they have a huge wiki where you can just go through and like see everything. And so it's a pretty old engine by this point, so pretty well documented. It was really fun. Daniel and I spent a lot of time discussing it.
Yeah, I want to say a word or two about the movement mechanics. Like original source mechanics not fit perfectly to the game, so I had to really adjust a lot and tune a lot of things. And obviously I added a lot of other mechanics like wall running and sliding, and that all had to fit in together with each other. And so you could do a lot of work on that, and that needs to interact with collision system, which is a separate question because movement mostly one thing and collision.
What you talking about the thing for preventing clipping through walls?
Oh, okay, yeah, we have a cool advanced system for preventing clipping through the walls, where the game tracks the path that you took And if you ever collide with anything, it gets you to the last place on that path, because that's important when you have thin walls and really fast-moving players at thousands of units per second. Have stair system, ramp system, movement, animation system. Everything works pretty smoothly.
Any other questions? Right here.
Yes. So we did because we did global server browser, you can actually play from each other's homes, join each other's servers, and we have lag compensation both on server and the client. So server rewinds the position back to what client saw and registers shots based on that. And client has a 2-frame delay in rendering, so you can interpolate player position between the frames. So it allows you to show lag comped image. Then you shoot the players you see on the screen, and then server lag comps 2 frames more and gets the accuracy of your shots. Yes, you can. We had simulation of latency, and you put up 150 ping of latency, and you can perfectly shoot people. It's fine.
Anyone else? Any other questions? Yeah. Ooh, funniest bug.
Ragdoll was pretty funny.
Yeah, so we originally used the default Mixamo model when we were just starting out, just as a placeholder. When Jolina finished this model, actually you could still see some side effects on the first-person model where the neck's extended, but when we first imported the model, it just broke, and it was this like crazy spider of an abomination, and as you moved, it would just kind of like walk, and it was so funny. I hope we got some screenshots. I think we did, so that'll be on our final report, hopefully. Any other questions? Yeah, you got a question?
So it consists of several things. First of all, on GitHub, we had the automation system for building, testing, releasing for all platforms, packaging assets with the release, so that on every push to main you get a fresh build. Semantic versioning with patch notes, all automated, runs great. Basic code linting, so that we have clean and styled code. Graph for the code and dependencies, so you can see quickly what depends on what and what you need to adjust in code and define things. Aside from that, pipelines for how you load sounds, assets into the game, those systems, but that's separate from DevOps.
So you can see here, Red has one of our secondary abilities, the gravity ability. So when they activate it, they can just flip to the ceiling and run around until they want to get down. They can just press it again. Also, one thing that's kind of funny is you're not supposed to be able to instantly respawn. There was a debug feature we added so that while we're playing the game, we didn't have to wait through the timer. And we literally were working until the last minute, and we just forgot to remove it. So it's actually just a part of the game now. Yeah. So the question was, how do we create the level? Our entire level, and I'll let Guthrie talk a little bit about this, about how we loaded the model, but first I'll say we had Jolina do the entire map in Blender. We experimented with a couple different things and we tried to use some tools, but just due to time, we were just like, okay, we'll just have the artist like do it in Blender and we'll just import the whole thing, because it's a pretty small map. So Guthrie, you want to talk about how we import that?
Yeah,
How we take the map and put it in after we have the SM.
we use a library called Asim, which loads text, loads assets, mesh data.
Talk about GLB.
GLBs, yes, we used a format called GLB, which is a binary that includes the map, the textures, the materials, kind of everything into a whole thing. You can have multiple different, objects, and so the entire map is all one big GLB, and we found that to be a lot more convenient than loading textures and mesh data and all of this stuff, and separately, and so that really helped. Yeah.
Well, actually,
I took a little bit of light. Well, we thought I did at one point. It turns out one of the biggest improvements in performance was turning off debug mode. Other than that, some of that also frustum culling helped a whole lot, especially with the amount of shadow mass we have. That's the rendering of the scene a lot of times. And so right now, at least I think my laptop has a similar GPU, and it ran at around 300 frames per second, which is well enough. But there is a plenty of little performance stuff here and there. A lot of it is on different platforms. Sometimes it would run really well on Windows, and then on Mac it is runs terribly. Yes, it crashed Arch Linux OS a couple times completely. When you have two clients. So right now, one of the things we didn't end up fixing is the game takes up a massive amount of VRAM because I didn't bother optimizing for that because of the shadows, and so you can't really run two clients, and it breaks in a different way depending on what computer you're on.
Want to talk about Metal too? Trouble using Metal.
Oh yeah, Metal. So one of the things. Oh yeah, SDL. I think it was a good choice for learning, but it's basically, for those who don't know, it's like a thin layer above three different like DirectX, Vulkan, and Metal APIs. So you get a sense for how modern APIs work, but without a lot of the other boilerplate that comes with it. But it compiles to, or it is able to use Metal on the back end. But one of the problems with that is that there is a maximum amount of VRAM that you can allocate at a single time, and it's much smaller than what I was doing been able to do on other machines, and that caused a lot of issues. So.
All right, let's congratulate Group 2.